In Dallas, the Symphony Orchestra debuted a great grand piece of music this fall to commemorate Lyndon B. Johnson with, quote, implicit reverberations about another war propelled by faulty intelligence pursued by another Texan, unquote. August 4th, 1964 was the day Johnson was told that North Vietnamese forces had attacked United States ships, and it was also the day he learned of the finding of the bodies of 3 civil rights workers who were murdered. The Tonkin Gulf information was false, but a war followed as a direct result. 3.7 million Vietnamese died, and 58,000 Americans were killed. The Mississippi killings, on the other hand, galvanized support for Johnson's civil rights agenda. This work is composed by Stephen Stocky to a libretto by Gene Scher that recreates that fateful day. Or John Adams has done Dr. Atomic, the story of J. Robert Oppenheimer, with a libretto by Peter Sellers, which might be another, we might call these reality operas. And in Arizona, as Lynn told you, we just commissioned Anna DeVere Smith to perform a piece called Women, Justice, and the Law, a set of re-performed interviews with people from Justice Sandra Day O'Connor to women who are incarcerated, etc., in the Arizona prison system. The piece will position the various ways in which the law works for women, works on women, and has women working on and through it. So with regard to new cities, through the eloquence and research of Gary Pomerantz on Monday, we saw the heroic civic struggle in detail here in Atlanta. It's clear that Atlanta has many local models of participatory art and design to be proud of today in the revitalization of this city through the arts, and in particularly through complex partnerships. It's also clear it has enlightened politicians like Shirley Franklin, the Maria Tall-Chief wannabe, and very involved corporate and philanthropic entities are always a terrific model. The Atlanta Beltline used abandoned buildings throughout neighborhoods joined by bikes and buses over 22 miles, which was a simple gleam in the eye of a Georgia Tech architectural student 10 years ago. There's also the extraordinary initiative by developer Tom Cousins and his wife Ann, who brought the East Lake Golf Club in a mixed income housing community using golf to resurrect a decaying neighborhood of East Lake. It is a model already copied in New Orleans for revitalization, by the way, and took East Lake from a neighborhood which had the highest crime rate to one which has, as its ethical center, the Charles Drew Charter School. Or Atlanta can point to the opening of the Tyler Perry Studios recently, the first major television and film studio owned solely by an African-American producer with 200,000 square feet of production space. The only downside to all of this utopianism in Atlanta might be the Real Housewives of Atlanta, an unfortunate corrective to an otherwise great model of civic investment in the arts. Clearly, for an urban plan committed to engaged access and the impact of excellence, this internal change in the role of contemporary art could not be more desirable as a complement to move other development agendas forward. Much of this new art overlaps with informatics, neurological studies, biodesign, digital animation, virtualities, interdisciplinary studies, all of which contribute to the enticement of knowledge workers in general. Using these new art forms, the urban space itself, including its passive structures, can become the lab for a rigorous and extensive investigation of an ethos of public engagement. And such initiatives, I might remind you, are not just physical. Neighborhood Watch metablogs are city-specific blog networks that allow neighbors to share information, the best restaurants, stores, local opinions, etc. Fritz Haag, an LA artist, has taken on the suburbs and negotiates an agreement in the suburbs and introduces gardens into front lawns as sort of a part of the larger guerrilla gardening that is being done elsewhere. Intellectual and emotional stimulation, social bonding, access, and impact are at the new center of thinking about art and its audiences. The next really big idea, I think, is the manipulation of human evolution by both biomethods and robotics, but I'm going to leave that to another talk. What I'm arguing, obviously, is the differences that make a difference still are responsibility and ethics. It is still often the specific voices of those we call artists that rise to heal, to explain, and to commemorate. We sing songs and we read poems at memorial services. We look to our authentic storytellers to narrate our grief, our pain, and our joy. Following on a century unprecedented for its massive genocidal atrocities, the two-edged sword of technological advances, and an ecobiological crisis of disastrous proportions, the ability of artists to make palpable the incomprehensible, to make flesh from the ethereal, still ignites us to understanding. Last shot, my voice begins to fade in and out with words like forceful and responsible aesthetics, images burned into our memories, digital media innovations, light made manifest, color made emotional. There's a high panoramic shot of the whole auditorium. We cut to line after line of audience members. They're holding hands and swaying to Julia Roberts. Climb every mountain. Dissolve to a sign at the back of the hall. Proverbs 23, where there is no vision, the people perish. Thank you.